In this lesson, we are going to understand how to merge paths in After Effects. This is exactly same as masking modes which we have used before while creating and animating mobile phone symbol. So here we have created a shape layer in which I have added three basic shapes that are polystar, ellipse and rectangle. And I have placed them in such way that all shapes are intersecting to each other so that we can properly understand what's going on. So click on Add button and choose Merge Path. It has been added to our layer, and if we expand it, you can see its mode is set to Add, and this is why all shapes are getting added to each other. Let me deselect it to show you properly. You can see clearly all shapes are added to each other. Now let's change mode to Subtract, and it will subtract lower shapes from the topmost shape. If we set it to Intersect, it will only show intersected areas of all shapes. Since we have three shapes here, so it's only showing the area where all shapes are intersecting to each other. Now if we set it to Exclude Intersections, it will just exclude intersected areas between the shapes. Now let me set it to Add again. As we have discussed before, that effects will only affect those layers which are above to them. So layer stacking order will also work exactly same in the case of merging paths. If we put this merge path above to the rectangle, it will merge only ellipse and polystar, and rectangle will not be affected by it. Let me undo it. If you notice, as soon as we have added merge path effect, this stroke and fill has been added automatically, and now these stroke and fill are affecting the newly generated shapes fill and stroke. So if we try to change fill color of any shape by selecting it, it won't change it. Even if we try to change it from the fill property of the shape, we cannot change it because we have merged all shapes, and now After Effects is treating them as one shape. So to change its color, we have to use this additional fill effect, and it will change the color of whole shape. Now let's see how we can create the mobile phone symbol with the help of different shape layers as we have done with the different mask. So let's create a rounded rectangle, and let me change its color to gray. Now draw the shape and make sure this layer is not selected. As like before, use up and down keys to change corner roundness. Now let's create a plain rectangle for the screen. Nothing will get changed because we have not changed fill color, and make sure all shapes are getting added to one shape layer. Now create a circle for the button. And in last, let's create a rectangle on the top for the speaker. Okay, basic shapes are ready. Now let's add merge paths. And always make sure no shape is selected when you apply the merge path effect. If any shape is selected by mistake, then it will add merge path effect in that shape's property, and now it won't work anymore. So let me undo it. To apply merge path effect, either deselect all shapes or select the contents. Now let's add the effect and change its mode to Exclude Intersections. And we are done. Our mobile phone symbol has been created, and you will find that it's easy than masking both in creation phase and in animation also. It doesn't mean that masking is useless. Both have their own space. Now suppose we want to animate it. In that case, if you use layer property, it will scale all shapes. So instead of this, we use shape properties. For example, if we have to animate this rectangle, just open its properties, and we can animate its size parameter. Let me undo it and unlink this constraint proportion because I want to scale it on x-axis only. Now add a keyframe and set its value to 0. Zoom timeline and go to 10th frame. Now set its value to 230. Move 3 more frames and again set its value to 219. This is exactly same as we have animated it with the mask. But here, we need not to set same keyframes to reserve the original shape, or also we need not to guess it. Here we can do it easily with the help of values. So it's far easier. Now it will play something like this. Play it once again. Fine. I'm not going to animate all shapes. I am sure that you can do it easily. Let me remove all keyframes just by clicking on this stopwatch again. Collapse it. Let's consider another case. Suppose we want this merge path effect will only affect last two rectangles. So we can do it using groups. Just create an empty group and let's call it custom shapes. Now holding down Ctrl key, just select both rectangles, merge path effect and these fill and stroke and put them all to the newly created group. Now merge path effect will only affect these two rectangles. Other shapes will remain in their initial state. So this is extremely useful effect when we work on large projects. It saves a lot of time as we need not to go to other software for creating complex shapes, and it also prevents us to create a lot of shape layers which might create confusion. In next lesson, we will understand basic differences between shape properties and layer properties.